Like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I continue to provide with trusted information for you to use to make decisions. I would like to speak to you today on a matter that a number of persons are not taking seriously. It is this issue of social media. We are consumed substantial with social media, but what we are not doing is thinking of the consequences of social media usage, or should I say, the consequences of over usage of social media. And what does it mean for a competency-based labor force and an education system? These are issues that we need to take into consideration. And today I want to look at these matters from a research perspective in terms of providing people with information that they can use to make decisions. And not the simple sleeping information or going to bed and having a dream information, but an empirical perspective on the matter. So let's go. So the topic that we're looking at today is social media usage influencing the mental health of Jamaicans? We're adding to it as well a challenge for a competency-based labor force and education system. And as I said before, it will be a research. So walk with me. My objectives are going to be twofold. One, I'm going to evaluate where social media usage influence mental health of Jamaicans. That's one. And two, we're going to look now at social media on a competency-based labor force. Assess what it means there. So the purpose of this research is to bring to people's forefront of people's minds. This is relating to social media and mental health, particularly of Jamaicans, and what does it mean for a competency-based labor force. So we're going to take you through that issue today. We want to leave you with something which is extremely important, and this was said by Robinson and Smith. No date attached, but it was said by Robinson and Smith. Here we go. Human beings are social creatures. We need the companionship of others to thrive in life. And the strength of our connection has a huge impact on our mental health and happiness. Let me read again. Human beings are social creatures. We need the companionship of others to thrive in life. And the strength of our connection has a large impact on our mental health and happiness, ladies and gentlemen. And a number of persons are not thinking that how you operate in life from one human being to another, that is where the social interaction comes in, is going to affect your mental state. So work with me through this one. Social media is relatively a new phenomenon. Maryville University 2020 provides some historical context to the development of social media, and they have actually said that the social media thing began years ago, and some persons are saying social media started as early as May 2, 1844, and some persons are saying it was actually launched in 1997. Whatever it is, we're giving you some context for you to use to make a decision. The prevalence and penetration of social media use among Jamaicans, particularly young people, needs the addictiveness of social media must be urgently studied and the findings used to formulate effective strategies to address the issues. Social media consumption among Jamaicans is a reality and one that will not dissipate shortly because we desire it. Young Jamaicans are increasingly becoming addicted to social media, and less time is spent on many other things because of the preoccupation with this communication technology. No empirical information on social media uses and mental health conditions is problematic for society. And this study provides some answers to the social media paradigm, the labor force, and the education system in Jamaica. So, let's examine this issue. So, we want to look at this matter related to social media and mental health. And we're going to bring into the conversation as well age and, of course, gender, given that these are critical features of the social human called people. All right, so definition. What exactly is mental health? According to the World Health Organization, which we call WHO, mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their community. Is an integral component of health and well-being that underpins our individual and collective abilities to make decisions, build relationship, and shape the world. That is who 2022 a mental health is a serious matter. What exactly is social media? Jones gave us a definition of social media in 2023, which states social media is understood as the different forms of online communication used by people to create networks, communities, and collectives to share information, ideas, messages, and other content such as videos. Social media is rather extensive. Psychological well-being. Psychological well-being is a core feature of mental health. That is Tang et al. 2019. And other persons have looked into this. But let's look what they define social media as. Psychological well-being is a multifaceted, multidimensional construct that encompasses an individual's overall happiness, satisfaction with life, and mental and emotional health. So, when provided with this context, we're going to actually use now a theoretical framework to structure this issue. All right. And we know that a theoretical framework underpins, undergirds the whole matter of a research. And we are using Crotty et al. 2019 to look at this matter relating to what exactly is a theoretical framework. The theoretical framework that I'm using is a human capital model, which is the demand for health. All right, we're looking at the demand for health, or health is demanded. And they actually argued that health can be considered as any other product that there is. And because health can be considered as any other product, it can depreciate with time, and it can depreciate with what you put in it and what you take out of it. And as a result, that sets the platform for us to look at health now as a product that can be measured with various subcomponents. So Grossman did some work on that, and Grossman was an economist that he did some work on that he actually established an actual mathematical model using econometric analysis to establish health of humans today and compare with your health yesterday or day before with other factors. And that has been used by other person. And the model is actually displayed on your screen in terms of what Grossman said that what constitute health. Where HT represents health today and HT minus one represent health from before, and they put in into other factors such as an individual's smoking behavior, their medical care, their education, and other things. And other persons have actually started using that model since, including yours truly. So when I present now a conceptual model, and here it is, I'm actually saying that health, and this is your good health now, is influenced by social factors such as age, gender, education, and those were already mentioned by Grossman, 1972. And they also measure, your health is also impacted by economic factors, of course, that was also measured as well. And psychological factors, other persons are brought into the discussion or into the discourse after Grossman, 1972. Now, what we're saying now is that when you look at the economic factors and when you look at health, all right, within the context of what the World Health Organization define health as, which is not only illness, but physical, social, and psychological well-being. Health is really a three component in itself, and it is influenced by other factors. And the three components here are actually measured into that pie that you see distributed into one third, or three components or three parts. Now, so what we want to know, we want to look at take the psychological well-being out of the WHO's model and look to sort of see that psychological well-being is influenced by social factors, biological factors, gender, age as social factors. We're not looking at biological factors, and we're going to integrate inside of that model now social media. Can social media be used to determine one's health status, particularly one's psychological well-being, one's mental health? So we collected data from Jamaicans across, again, the 14 parishes, and showed that it was a descriptive study, which is going to be an explanatory research to ensure that we are able to garner numbers to use to establish a predictability of our model, and not only predictability, the validity in terms of being able to use as a general model to look at things. 1,067 Jamaicans were actually used, and of course, the persons that we actually selected for this study were in keeping with the general population of Jamaica in terms of the percentages. So if you look at your screen right now, you'll actually see that there are 2.72 million 503,000 Jamaicans, and that 1,067, which is a sample size, which is going to be, it was calculated mathematically with the same proportion of the population as in Jamaica, and person was selected that. The inclusion criteria is that you had to be over 18 years old, and of course, you had to be a resident to Jamaica. Why do we choose 18 years old? Because those persons are legal adults and able to make decisions on their own, and as such, they do not need the permission of their parents, guardians, or somebody that they are in with in terms of care to give permission. So this research is going to be based on persons who can give permission, and of course exclude those persons who are younger than that, medically impaired persons, or those persons are in prison. All right, they were excluded from the research. So we use a established instrument that we actually wrote to the persons that own the instrument in terms of the psychological well-being index. They gave us approval, and as such, we were able to use the index to actually measure the components. They actually told us how those items should be measured, how they should be scaled, how they should be constituted in terms of its measurement, and we apply those rules. Of course, a critical component of that in research is not only accept person's word as is, but to validate your own work. And we also validated our own work. Having looked at Cronbach Alpha, we went further in terms of looking at factor analysis to ensure that all the components, subcomponents are good to use, valid, to ensure to you established our principles, because we want to ensure that our research can stand up to scrutiny, and all that was done. All ethical considerations were upheld. We did ethical courses, and we're going to present the findings to you. Remember what those questions are? We're going to answer them now. Now, we collected data from 587 Jamaicans of the 1,067 that we wanted to. Only 587 actually gave us information, which is in excess of a half of the people. You see here now in terms of social media, how many Jamaicans are social media users? Quite a lot of Jamaicans are social media users. And we also know in terms of the frequency of use, how much time a person that will spend on social media, and the time of social media that I use. We're talking about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, TikTok, Twitter, and many others that are used by Jamaicans. So we asked now disaggregated the data in terms of social media usage and your age cohort, is whether you are youth, whether you're adult, or whether you're senior. Of course, senior means those persons who are older 65 years old. All right. Now let's look at social media usage. Youth use social media almost 6 hours per day, and averaging between 6 hours, and they could use as much as 5 more hours for social media. Between 4 hours to 8 hours on average, youth are using social media. Adults, about 4 hours they are using social media, and 2.4 hours are used by, of course, seniors. Not a lot of time, but we are all using social media somewhere, somehow, some form, some fashion. Now, Cronbach Alpha was used, as I said before, we wanted to establish the validity of our instrument. We realized that the overall Cronbach Alpha, our work of the instrument to measure well-being, is 0.703, and the subcomponents are there in terms of the social media. We did an extensive review of the social media value and realized that, listen, all the subcomponents were good in terms of factor analysis. So we can now move on to the forces, the issue that we want to discuss. So we take age into consideration, we take into consideration active social media users, we take into consideration the number of hours that people actually spend on social media, and the type of account that they have on social media, number of accounts that they have on social media. We look at the significant level, we realize that what is important, we're talking about anything that is less than 0.05. Those factors are age, another is the number of hours spent on social media. So we are saying the number of hours spent on social media negatively influences an individual's health. All right. Remember that the number of hours spent on social media negatively influence your mental health. Those are findings using figures from Jamaicans. So we are concluding inside this research that social media usage is significantly influencing the mental health of Jamaicans. And remember, we said that most Jamaicans who are youth are consuming with 6 hours of social media on average per day. What does it mean, 6 hours of social media consumption? It means that of the 8 hours that people are technically awake, they are consuming more than 3 quarters of that in terms of on social media, particularly the youth you're referring to here. That means the youth are not spending valuable and quality time mastering their skills as young person in terms of education because of the preoccupation, the preponderance, the dominance of social media. And that must be affecting not only the outcome of our education system, which we see happening recently in terms of the CXC complaining that a number of persons have actually failed mathematics. And the CEO for CSEC, which is the Caribbean Examination Council, indicate that most of the persons who sat the CSEC this year, 2024, have not gained the required number of subjects to go on to tertiary institution. So we are saying that their competency base is actually low, is reflected in terms of what? The CSEC result, but not only affected in terms of the CSEC results, it's also reflecting, I should say, as it relates to their output in terms of just about every other thing that they are doing, with the exception of the consumption of social media. And it's also affecting their mental health, which a number of persons are not paying attention to. What can we continue to do about this? We're making some recommendations. We have to look now at how we're going to deal with this pandemic, because this is clearly a pandemic. We're talking about 90% of Jamaicans indicated that they're active social media users, 9 out of every 10. So this matter cannot be what? Brush aside. It cannot be lowly recommended, it can be lowly looked at, because it is a fundamental issue that must be addressed. Because it's affecting our young people. They are not performing at the standard that they ought to and should be because of the preponderance and this overly consumption of social media. Their mental health is also affected. And we're going to see the outcome of this negative influence on mental health, not today, not next week, but years to come, where a number of these individuals are going to have to check into medical facilities because they are experiencing some form of depression, some form of schizophrenic behavior, some form of matter relating to other psychosis relating to mental health. So we're saying we're going to have to look at how we deal with this and find a way how we can get our young people to go and consume less social media for the purpose of protecting themselves. And we said before, we're going to have to find a way to deal with this matter. And this cannot take us 50 years from today. We are saying the matter of social media usage is indeed affecting our people, particularly what young persons, and we are seeing its result reflected in exam results in terms of the overseas examination, CXC. If this is to continue, then it means a number of our young people will not be attending university come September 2024 only because of their overly consumption on social media. And a number of our young people are experiencing various forms of psychological issues, various forms of mental health challenges as a result of this overly consumption of social media. Share this video with someone, like, comment. I want to hear what people have to say, because what this means is that we're damaging our young persons as a result of giving them phones and tablets, giving them computers as a result of how they use and how they manage social media. And we have got to find a way how to deal with this matter before it becomes a pandemic.